I'm June Sims in Washington. Egyptian officials say at least 5 people died in clashes between police and protesters in the city of Suez. It was not immediately clear who was killed, police or civilians. The deaths were first reported in Egypt in protests marking the second anniversary of the revolt that ousted former President Hosni Mubarak. The health ministry said more than 250 people were injured during the protests in Suez and in other cities, including Cairo. Egyptian news media also reported late Friday that government buildings were set on fire in Suez. 2 car bomb attacks in the Syrian-controlled part of the Golan Heights killed 8 people Friday. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says most of those killed were members of Syria's military intelligence. There was no claim of responsibility for the attacks. Separately, the observatory said Syrian military forces launched new raids in rebel-controlled areas of Damascus on Friday. French and Malian forces are battling Islamist militants in a town that leads toward the rebel-controlled city of Gao. Witnesses and security officials say French and Malian forces fought rebels in Hambori on Friday. The town is around 250 kilometers from Gao. In other news, local officials say militants have bombed a bridge near the border with Niger. This is the 3rd week of a French-led offensive against Islamist militants in northern Mali. French troops will slowly be replaced by West African soldiers who are moving into Mali. Mali's top Muslim leader says he supports French intervention in his country. VOA spoke to Mahmoud Dicko, president of Supreme Islamic Council of Mali. He said the unrest has placed what he called the very existence of Mali at risk. He noted a lack of support for Mali from other Muslim countries, and he denounced criticism from Muslims who described the intervention as a French war against Islam. Earlier this month, Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi expressed opposition to France's intervention in Mali. He said it could fuel conflict in the area. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English. An American research group which studies North Korea says the country's nuclear center is in a high state of readiness. Joel Witt is the founder of the group's 38 North website. He says satellite images suggest that North Korea could carry out a nuclear test within weeks. He says the satellite pictures taken on January 4th also show many North Koreans near the entrance to the test area. Mr. Witt says those people could be armed guards. He also reported a lot of buses and other vehicles in the area, which he says is unusual during winter. North Korea has threatened a 3rd nuclear test and more rocket launches in reaction to the United Nations Security Council resolution this week. The measure would strengthen international restrictions against North Korea to punish the country for continuing to seek nuclear weapons. France has sent special force troops to Niger. The troops will guard mines that supply most of the uranium for France's nuclear power industry. The French government has increased its terror warning to the second highest level. Security at major government and tourist sites has also increased. The moves follow the French intervention in Mali. Some officials fear that militants could attack France or French targets overseas. Some Islamic websites are calling for attacks on France, says Jean-Charles Broussard. The French terrorism expert says about 30 terrorism groups are operating in France. A Twitter account used by the Somali militant group Al-Shabaab appears to have been suspended. Twitter has not confirmed any action on the account, but a message on the page says it has been suspended. The militant group used the website to report the killing of a French hostage and show pictures of a dead French soldier. Al-Shabaab's Arabic language Twitter account confirmed that the English language version page was removed. The group said the suspension was a violation of its freedom of expression. It was not clear why its Arabic account is still available. The account also shared the pictures and made threats. Thousands of people came to Washington Friday to protest a court decision that legalized operations for ending pregnancies. It has been 40 years since the United States Supreme Court made the decision in a case known as Roe v. Wade. Every year, abortion opponents hold what they call the March for Life. This year, the march included a gathering near the Capitol building and a protest outside the Supreme Court. On Tuesday, the actual anniversary of the decision, about 40 people spread 3,300 flowers outside the court. Protest organizers said the number represents the number of abortions in the United States every day. The demonstrations have been held in an effort to get the court to change its decision.